prevention versus punishment. What do I mean by that? Well, it's much easier to invest the time early on with your puppy or dog to prevent problematic behaviors from developing. And it can be simple things like chewing on your shoes, counter surfing, jumping on people, barking out the window whenever they see something go by. It's much easier to work with them and come up with strategies to prevent the behavior from developing versus trying to punish it away when you don't like it. A lot of times what happens is bring a puppy home or a new dog home and they're doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing, but it's just so darn cute. I mean, there's nothing cuter than your Newfoundland jumping up on people, trying to give them hugs and kisses when they're 3 months old and they weigh 35 pounds. But I guarantee nobody thinks it's cute when they come a year later and my 150-pound Newfoundland takes them out in the front doorway because we taught him that's how you greet people. Or when he just starts walking up and eating things off of my countertops because he doesn't even need to counter surf, he just counter looks and he can take things. So I always think, will whatever this puppy is doing as a puppy that I think might be cute at the time, is it going to be cute when they're a big dog or an adult dog? Will my family think it's cute? Will my guests think it's cute? Will everybody that encounters him think it's wonderful that he licks them all over the face because maybe I like getting kisses when he was a puppy? So the simple thing is, you have the ability from the day they join your family to teach them the behaviors that you want them to know. Well, how do you want them to greet people? Do you want them to keep their head out of the garbage can? Do you want them to not steal food off the counter? You get to decide, what are the house rules? What do we want this to look like? And then teach them alternate behaviors or redirect them or confine them so they can't keep practicing behaviors over and over and over again. And I'll give you a perfect example. So Ducky is going to be a year old next week. He's, been great his whole life. I mean, he's not really destructive and he doesn't really chew. And I'm thinking, oh, well, it's about time. I'm going to start giving him more freedom and I'm going to let him spend a lot more time out of his crate. So for the past 3 months, he has. Whenever someone's home, he's very comfortable. He'll just kind of find a comfortable place to lay down and he'll sleep or he'll chew on a bone. And he hasn't really gotten into any trouble. So I, started getting overly ambitious and give him a little more freedom and a little more time out of the crate. And let's start seeing if he'll sleep out of his crate at night. And so I let him out of the crate. And the first night he slept up in our room. We have a big bathroom. He likes to sleep on the floor. So he did great. But the second night, I got up in the morning and he had eaten a roll of toilet paper. And he was so good at it that he ate, probably wasn't a lot left on the roll, but he ate what was left. He even ate the cardboard and he never pulled it off the actual toilet paper holder. So he was quite gifted at how he did this. So what I realized was, oh, is he a terrible bad dog? No, didn't punish him because didn't see it happen. I didn't interrupt him. I didn't have the opportunity to tell him to leave it. But I realized, okay, he's probably not ready yet to be up at night with no supervision out of his crate. One, I don't want him to get sick. I don't want him to eat something that could really hurt him. I don't want him to eat something that in the morning is going to make me want to hurt him. So it's just a reality check. He's not quite ready to have 10 hours of unsupervised freedom while we sleep at night. Is it the end of the world? No. He has a huge crate that he's perfectly happy in. I would rather not let him have his little night adventures while we're sleeping because I'm not there to interrupt it or redirect it. He's just going to get really good at it and he's bored and nobody's telling him to stop. So Lord knows what he'd get into. So that's an example of I'm going to prevent him from having his night maneuvers versus punishing him for doing something that he truly has absolutely no idea is wrong. So we need to remember when puppies come into our home, don't give them too much freedom too soon. I learn with every single puppy I've raised, they all graduate to freedom at different times, some sooner than others. Ducky, do I think he's reliable during the day when we're home and there are people here? Absolutely. When we're gone? No, not yet. I'll try it in a couple months and see how things go. But this is great information. You know, I like when my dogs let me know where they're at in their training and developmentally. I think it's good to know versus something horrible happens and you're just kind of oblivious to it. So we want to know this dog and not give them so much freedom that they just get themselves into tons of trouble. We then want to spend all the time that we're with them during the day teaching them and redirecting them. If he starts to go after a toilet paper roll during the day, he's going to hear, leave it, and I'm going to go give him something he can chew on. Or I'm going to keep bathroom doors closed now that I know he's got a fetish for paper, toilet paper, or paper towels. So I just have to be realistic. I can't just, I don't want you doing this. You're never going to do this again. He wanted to do it. He did it. He enjoyed it. Now I have to just prevent him from having access to this for a while. Hopefully he'll kind of grow past it, and redirect him when I see him doing things. And this involves how our dogs interact with people, how they behave in our home. If you don't want your dog springboarding off of your furniture, laying on your furniture, then don't invite them on when they're puppies, and then kick them off when you decide you don't like it anymore. Don't play rough with them when they're puppies, and then when they're a big dog and they've learned, well, this is how I play with people, then you suddenly don't like it anymore. We can't start something and then decide halfway through we suddenly don't like it anymore, and then we magically want it to just go away. We confuse our dogs a lot when we do that. Another example would be when you're walking your dog, every time they see another dog, you let them drag you up to that dog to say hi, barking and jumping, and they're rolling around in the street and their leashes are tangled, and the owners are like, oh, we're having a socialization time. And then when they're big dogs, you decide, gosh, I've had rotator cuff surgery and my back hurts and I don't really like that anymore. And you're really mad at your dog because that's now how he greets dogs. It's not really his fault. It's kind of your fault because you allowed him to develop that habit, and then you suddenly decide you don't like it anymore, but he's practiced it for a long time. So he doesn't really understand why he's in trouble all of a sudden. So we want to prevent things versus punishing them later in the game. Some things you can't fix. If you let certain behaviors go on, counter surfing, if you have a dog who is a skilled counter surfer, good luck. Can be near impossible to ever break it. Once they realize there are food sources up on that counter or whatever it is they want, and they know how to get there, it's very unlikely you're going to break it. I hate to break that bad news to people, but it's true. That means a lifetime of management, that you have to have bare counters. They can never be in the kitchen when there's anything out. You have to keep them crated all the time when you can't watch them. That doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun for you or your dog. So I lean towards preventing things, learning bad habits, destructive chewing, excessive barking, obnoxious greetings, all of it. Is it a process? Yeah, we're talking about the first year of their life. They're not going to achieve this the first 2 or 3 months you have them living with you. So it's just an ongoing process. Again, you just have to be mindful of, what am I doing now? And am I going to want them to do this a year or two from now? Even where they sleep. I think it's in our best interest, and it's definitely in our puppy or dog's best interest, to introduce them to confinement, a crate in an X-pen, somewhere where they learn to feel comfortable, safe, and relaxed being confined. Otherwise, you will never be able to board them. You will never be able to take them somewhere with, like the vet, if they have to have surgery and put them in a crate and your poor puppy or dog freaks out because you haven't exposed them to it. You can't have them sleeping with you, and then you want to go on a vacation in 2 years and you have to inform your dog walker, well, by the way, he'll only sleep in bed with you, and you find out your dog walker doesn't really like that. So you just have to think big picture. Is what we're doing now going to work 2, 3, 4 years from now? Is it going to work for us? And is it going to work for our puppy or dog? Because a lot of this really ends up being very stressful for them, because we're game changing in the middle of the game and they don't know what the heck's going on. So try to catch yourself when your puppy is doing something and you're like, oh, that's kind of funny, but I don't know about that. It's probably not a good idea to let it keep happening. Replace that behavior with something else, something more appropriate, something equally fun but not obnoxious. Don't just overlook it and think, well, I'll let him do it for a month or two because he's so darn cute, but then I'll get him to stop. Might not be as easy as you think. So always remember, prevention versus punishment is much easier for your dog and a lot easier for you.